Back 2 minutes late. Sorry about that, but we're here. We had to get a couple things squared away. Ben's here. I'm here. No Rick this week. We had to give Rick the week off. Thought about giving somebody else a couple guys a call this week, but some of them weren't feeling too good, Ben, or not available, shoveling snow, but wanted to be around. So they can chime in on the chat if they're around. So there you go. You getting snow? Rochester snow?
We're supposed to have gotten a bunch of snow, but it didn't happen. Yeah, it's here, but not really.
It's a no snow. We just got rain down here in the south. South we get rain.
Yeah, we got. We were supposed to have snow. They canceled school. It didn't start snow. They canceled school. It didn't snow until like 4:30.
Should you tell your kids the old stories when they would cancel school for us?
Never.
Yeah.
I think one time they canceled school for us because it was like 4 feet of snow.
Yeah, 4 feet outside your door. You couldn't even open the door to get outside. And that happened in like 10 hours overnight.
Yeah.
That was the only snow day we had growing up. Kids. Anyway.
It's true.
Might be slightly exaggerated there. but whatever.
No, that is true.
Not? Was that the same time that we did inner tubes off the garage roof? When we had that much snow, or did we not have as much snow that time?
We had not that much, but close.
That was the best choice of mom and dad built the house. That was the best window placement of all time. Having access to the garage roof right from the hallway window, and then also that little front skinny porch roof right outside the bedroom window. That was really smart, because when you're not home, your kids might go out there. They might venture out on the roof. You never know. And we did a few times. I think I was a lot more comfortable on roofs back then than I am now. Hey, Bernard's here. Hey, how you doing, Bernard?
Me too. Bernard says Rodgers is better than Favre. Thanks for the update, Bernard. I did not know that.
Hey, I guess this is around. Hey, I'm gonna give some quick shout outs. You guys come in. Ben, you know what I did before we get into the show? We talked about Packers Bears. We got Ben's top 10s tonight. I know we got to get moving here. Congrats to Pat McAfee. He just signed his big thing with FanDuel. Now they're getting paid a boatload of money. All their guys,
again.
Whatever. Yeah, way more money. He went crazy. He did this whole video about it. Talked about all the donations he's given out. Because of this big signing they had and all that, and how he got there and the idea they had. And I'm going to just tell you, we've heard comments, especially when we had other people on more often. So maybe we got to try to get you guys roped back in once in a while, is that our show had a Pat McAfee vibe to it.
Well, during the pandemic, it did.
I'm AJ Hawk, Ben's Pat McAfee, kind of.
It was more fun. But then what happened was, no, but like then the season started. This is 2020. The season started, and then the Packers kept doing dumb stuff like playing Zadarius Smith all the time, and
then we got
playing the wrong guys at different spots, and then it made us all mad. And then our show became more about us complaining about crap instead of about having fun. And it's been like that now for like a year. Well, we just lost another subscriber. We had 116, and we're back down to 115 again.
And you know what happened? We're gonna that subscriber that we just lost. First of all, Bernard, how we doing? We don't do good after buys. He's scared. We'll get to that in a second. This is important, Bernard. We lost a subscriber this week, and I'm glad you brought it up, Ben. I was going to address it. The subscriber we lost is going to get the fart gun salute this week. You were a super fan. We appreciate it. Here's to you. Now, do you know who that subscriber was, Ben?
Nope.
Now, we lost that subscriber after I put out and re-put out the video clip of us showing how good Rasul Douglas was. And you were the one who made the statement. I did not disagree with it. And actually, I do agree with it, which is another reason why we lost a subscriber. That Rasul Douglas is actually the best cornerback the Packers have on this team, and that includes Jair Alexander. Then we lost a subscriber. Proof that Jair Alexander was a subscriber.
Nice.
And a super fan. So Jair, we still love you, man. We're not saying you're not good. We're saying you are good. You're just not quite as good as number 29. And that's okay. That's okay. But Jair, because you were a subscriber, we're giving you the Farkon salute. This is to you, Jair Alexander, for recognizing the quality and value of Hafen Bros.
Whoa.
Continue on. That's proof to me. Proof to me that Jair Alexander had been a subscriber of our show.
The only thing I'll say about Jair Alexander, I love him. But when you hurt yourself making a tackle and then you don't play for like 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row, I mean, your value goes down the tubes. Sorry, you got to be on the field to be valuable. And I've said that for years, the last couple of years, I said Jair's becoming my favorite player. I've said that.
You did.
And he was becoming my favorite player because he's making plays. He's like doing stuff. But the difference is Douglas doesn't have the speed that Jair has, and he's making plays, and he does the same type of stuff. I think they're both very good.
I do too. That'd be so great. I mean, when was the last time we had two corners like that?
When we had
Woodson
and Tremont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woodson, but was used all over the place. So it was kind of like,
but still.
They used him inside, they blitzed him, they did all kinds of crazy stuff with him. These two guys are basically going to be corners, covering corners. Bernard's trying to bait us into stuff.
No, Bernard.
Guys, don't be all worried about after the bye. It's the freaking Bears. All right. We'll talk about the Bears. And it's at Lambeau Field. And the Packers have figured some stuff out. Like, it's the Bears, guys. I don't care. They're mad that Rodgers said he owned them. They have other stuff. Their coach is going to get fired. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Andy Dalton played like Andy Dalton last week. They got Nick Foles sitting on the bench still somehow. When I saw him on the bench, he's still on the team.
Yeah. They traded for him.
What are they doing?
He's making like $30 million a year.
What are the Bears doing?
They don't know what they're doing.
Like, they never know what they're doing, especially at quarterback. It's just insane and ridiculous. Anyway,
the Patriots, I guess the Patriots have two corners that good.
Yeah, there's teams. There are teams. But including the Raiders, corners are pretty good. I'll give them that. But Casey Hayward Jr., he's pretty good. We know that. Anyway, I just wanted to say about this whole thing. That, to me, that's what it said to me. When we lost that one subscriber, it was immediately after that statement was put out again publicly by you. Ergo, Jair Alexander was that subscriber. So Jair will take you back gladly. We didn't mean to offend. It's actually just a really big compliment to Rasul Douglas, to be honest with you. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, yes, Justin Fields is playing in this game. Bernard they want to talk about the game. We'll get to that. Fine. Okay. Then we'll get to your top 10s. All right, let's give some thoughts on the Bears game, Ben. Some people are worried. Packers coming off a bye. Are we worried about that? Rodgers isn't practicing again. We're not worried about that. Are we worried about the Bears instantly being good?
No. It's the Bears. They tried to cover MVS in the slot with Trevathan last year. These guys are stupider than crap. They're not smart. Their coach doesn't know how to run an offense. They had the first time Fields got in the game. Remember, he got sacked 9 times in the first game he played because they didn't know how to run plays for him. Like, if you have a guy who's talented, you figure out how to run plays for him. The Bears just ran their offense, and the guy didn't know what to do. I mean, they got a stupid coach. They got stupid players. They suck. Everybody knows it. There's no reason to be worried. None. Plus, it's at Lambeau.
The Packers could nearly clinch the division with a win. This early, it's ridiculous. Now, I think they can't anymore because the Vikings won, right? Pulled out the Thursday game, so
that's what I just heard. I wasn't paying attention.
One more week. But either way, it's like, what are you afraid of? Let's say the worst thing happens, and somehow, the Bears win this game, and the Packers play like garbage or whatever. Don't be worried. The Packers cannot lose this division. It's ridiculous how bad the teams in this division are. Actually, let me give a quick shout out talking about teams in the division. I watched the Lions game. I watched the Lions game on Sunday.
It's the Vikings,
not being on. Yeah. And I was really impressed, not just with how hard they played. And I did want to come on and talk about that, actually. It was kind of crazy. Yes, the Vikings did win on Thursday, but they lost to the Lions before that, which almost killed them. But the one thing is, when I turned on the game and I'm like, how the hell are all these fans here? And they were like fired up.
I was surprised. Yeah.
In Detroit, you have
I couldn't believe it.
A winless team. And those fans were like into the game.
Yeah.
That's impressive, man. Would Packer fans do that? Do you think Packer fans would be good? Would Eckes would do it. He'd probably rally some people. But come on, if your team was 10-1, would you be at the game fired up and cheering on that hard? I don't know, man. You got to give the Detroit fans some cred there. That's impressive.
And Zero saying, how come? Why did when the Lions won that game, that hit me in the fields? I'll tell you why, Zero. Because the Lions have been so crappy for so long that you just, even though they're in our division, you want to see them do something. They're a bunch of misfits. I mean, there's times when Dan Campbell called the timeout, I was like, what a moron. He called the timeout when the Vikings got the ball after they went for it in fourth down and didn't get it. And the Vikings had the ball and they got it at like their own, they're at the Lions 30 something, and then he called the timeout and I'm like, what is he doing? He's just helping them out. But secretly it actually worked because they gave up a touchdown and then Goff got him down the field and they ended up winning on the last freaking play of the game. Like Dan Campbell made a bunch of dumb decisions in that game. But, and the other thing was when you watched him on the sidelines, he looked like a guy who's just been beaten down to nothing. Like his face, he just looked like, because when you see him before the season started, he was so excited. He was so pumped to be a coach and like to get all the guys. He's like, my guys, and we're going to bite kneecaps and all that kind of crap, right? And he was awesome. And gradually through the season, you've seen that poor guy just be dwindled down to just a sad sack of crap. And that's what he looked like. And my favorite part, the reason why I got to the field, Zero, was this. After Goff threw that touchdown pass, did you see what he did after? He didn't run to the end zone. He went straight to Dan Campbell and hugged him right after. And that shows that even a first round number 1 overall pick who's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, who was also given up by his former team, can understand why and how hard those guys are working. And that's one of those things where it's like, as Packer fans, we don't see that anymore. We don't have guys who will, like, a one win. That one win meant more to the Lions than a lot of even playoff wins the Packers have had, because as fans, we're like, we need to go to Super Bowl. We need to go to Super Bowl. But that one win for the Lions felt like bigger than a Super Bowl for all their fans and for that team. And you could see it on each one of those guys' faces. And that's why, that's why I meant, like, you as you're watching the game, you're like, man, I'm a Lions fan. Like, I was a Lions fan. I feel like I'm a Lions fan now, which sounds really weird. But I would like to see, like, if the Packers ever end up sucking for whatever reason, which I hope never happens, but if it ever does happen, I hope the Lions can somehow benefit from it, because they've sucked since 1960. And they just need, like, one thing to go right, just once. Yeah. Even when they had Barry Sanders, who's like the most dynamic, awesomest running back of all time, they still couldn't do anything, right?
Yep.
They need something. That's all.
Yeah. Interesting thing too about that is, first of all, I had to double check after that last play. I want to get to a couple of things about Zimmer. They're asking questions about Zimmer and the Vikings. I had to double check after that last defensive call on the Vikings if Dom Capers was still on the staff, because that looked like the exact Dom Capers defense sitting 5 yards back of the end zone and let the guy run in front of you.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that play. And that's the other thing. Like, a lot of people will say things about that play, or about, like, oh, The Vikings played off, and the Vikings were stupid. But the fact that Goff threw that ball really low, there's no way a defender could have made a play on that ball. And St. Brown got down and got the catch, which was a tough catch because it's really low. But Goff knew is like, if I throw this any higher, it could be broken up or whatever the case is. And so it was a great pass by Goff. Like Goff he's like Kirk Cousins, right? Maybe he's not as good as Kirk Cousins, but like when he has time, he can make. He had those 2 touchdown passes to the tight ends in the first half were some damn good freaking throws, like right down the seam. And the Vikings weren't ready for it because they didn't have Kendricks out there. So like their middle linebacker was not as experienced, and the Lions took advantage of it in the first half. So it was a great game, and it was a great way to watch those guys play. But as far as Zimmer goes, over here, like I live in Minnesota, and I'm hearing the stuff, and like the fans are done. They're done with him, man.
Done with him?
Oh my God.
They don't care that he's given the Vikings the best record against the Packers of any coach in the last however many years.
They don't care because
they're not winning other games.
Well,
they beat the Packers. They beat the Packers like almost 50% of the time, right? Or something was under Zimmer.
I know, but like a lot of the fans, when I listened to them, they were like, they talked about that game and they were just numb to it. You'd think they would be like heartbroken about a loss like that. And they're like, I almost expected it. That's what they said. They lost the game to the Seahawks almost exactly the same way last year. Remember where Russell Wilson threw that pass in the end zone and the guy was like, they played the same defense. Why are they 5 yards deep in the freaking end zone? It makes no sense.
It's inexcusable.
And I mean, I don't get it.
I thought it was a Dom coverage. He's not on their staff. He's no longer a senior consultant there. He's senior consultant somewhere else. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Well, Jaguars maybe right now, or maybe it was Jaguars last year, and now he's senior consultant somewhere else. Anyway, point is, that is never the proper defense to call in a late game situation where you need to stop them from getting to, or anytime you want to stop a team from getting a touchdown, really, because it's way harder to throw, challenge a guy and make him throw over the top of you or beat you to the back of the end zone when there's not a lot of field and room to do that than it is to sit there and play back and let them just have it right in front of you. Tom Brady's benefited from that numerous. Actually, that last drive, Goff reminded me of Brady. He checked it down. He took all the easy throws and then made that throw, which was also ended up being pretty easy because the Vikings played it the way they played it. But give him credit. He did it. He got it done. So, hey, that's more than Captain Kirk has done oftentimes for the Vikings. So is Jared Goff more clutch than Kirk Cousins? Probably.
I don't know. But all I know is Eckes is saying Lions fans are awesome. They're super cool to him.
Oh.
Bernard is saying we got to stop hating on Rodgers. All I know is last week I showed a play about Aaron Rodgers I showed a play last week on Friday night where he threw a 40-yard bomb, perfect pass off his back foot that nobody else in the history of all time could throw, and it was an anticipation throw, which usually he doesn't do, and that's why I showed it. It was a great play by Rodgers, and I said it was an awesome play. Yeah. So Bernard, come on, you were there last week. You watched me. You called that show. They called that play.
We ain't been hating on Rodgers. He played great last week. We said he played great. Ben even complimented him even more than that. He's played great. He keeps playing great and doesn't do other dumb stuff. Fine. I still remember what he did, but he keeps playing great. The fact of the matter is the Packers need him as their quarterback right now.
The only thing I will say I think is so funny about him is
what's that?
When he did his whole toe, we had to show everybody his toe a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
And he got all whiny and he was all yelling at the reporters about how get your facts right and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude.
I missed that because I haven't
well, he was complaining because he was like, people were saying he had COVID toe and he had something else.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then he had to show what his actual toe was, broken pinky toe and all that kind of crap. Oh, Butter was at that game too.
Butter was at the nice.
Anyways, and he was whining about all the the reporters don't report on stuff if you don't know, get your stuff facts straight. Well, Rodgers' whole thing he did on the Pat McAfee show after the whole COVID thing happened for him, half that crap was not true, and it was speculation and lies and other crap that he didn't have correct. So touche, bro. You can't be dissing on the reporters for if they. First of all, they don't even have they don't have the information available to them because the Packers would not share what the problem injury was for Rodgers, and they didn't know. They had to dig and try to find it. Rodgers could find the information easily, and he just chose to omit things and be and say lies during his thing. So whatever.
Yeah. Hey, this brings me to a quick question about the Packers here. It seems like I want to know what you guys think in the chat too. Is there anything weird going on with this whole injury stuff? Because Rodgers made a couple of comments, right, about coaches leaking some information about him out to the media, or he thought the coaches or somebody said that. And then all of a sudden he's saying things about Bakhtiari not being available or not being back and all this sort of stuff when the coaches aren't saying that yet. So what the hell's going on with the Packers and Rodgers and talking about injuries? Like, you're supposed to keep that stuff tight-lipped. You keep the other teams guessing, right? You don't want to be sharing all that crap. What are they doing? Is there something weird going on there between the coaches and Aaron Rodgers and some back and forth related to injuries? Is it injury tennis here or whatever their game they're playing, or is it just stupid? I don't understand it. But
Rodgers doesn't care, dude.
I don't know what
He'll
they're doing.
Say whatever. And that's the thing is, like, Mike Florio said it right after he showed everybody and talked about his pinky toe and everything else, and how he didn't get surgery and all. He's like, well, guess who's going to be stomping on his feet on Sunday?
Ooh, that's right. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I mean, yeah, dummy. The Bears are going to go stomp on your feet every time they have a chance.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen?
Ding dong.
LP is going to have to protect him again. That's what's going to have to happen. And old Royce will have to hold up. Are we worried about that? If you're scared of the Bears, are you concerned about the Bears' pass rush getting to the offensive line and getting to Aaron Rodgers? Are you concerned about that?
No, because if the Lions couldn't do it in the last game, I don't think the Bears can do it in this game.
The Rams, right? Rams are supposed to be one of the best, the best fronts in the whole league, right? That's what I heard.
Well, the thing was, the Packers got rid of the ball so fast. Like, Rodgers did a great job of getting rid of the ball. Like, there was almost no pressure on him because of it, Aaron Donald got all feisty and he was choking dudes because he couldn't get to Rodgers. It wasn't because the offensive line was blocking great. It was because the plays he was getting the ball out of his hands fast and things were happening quick and he was making decisions quick. And he had a great game. I think Rodgers had one of his best games mentally in that game against the Rams. Oh, you got the video? There you go. What the hey? And the official's right there. How are you not ejected or at least a penalty called on that play? You're muted again. You unmute yourself.
No flag, no ejection. Guy's hands up right there. Official's right there. Saying, take your hands off my voice box here so I can actually breathe. I don't know. Donald's he's kind of a cheapo player, man.
Yeah, he is.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
But Lucas got under his skin, man. That's what Lucas does. He gets under people's skin. Remember how he got to Sue? He got what else did he get to? He gets under people's skin, man. That's what he does.
Well,
because these D-backs are these defensive linemen don't like being blocked. So, that's how it goes. Who's sending me stuff? Weird.
I don't know, but our show has been derailed. I have nothing to say about that.
Oh, it's Eckes. He's sending something. I don't know what is happening here. Oh my God. Oh, he's by Lions fans. The Lions fan stuff that he's texting us. Okay. All right. So we're not worried about that. We shouldn't be worried about the Bears getting to the Packers. Also, what's the other reason here? Because we know that Billy Turner is the Khalil Mack neutralizer.
Yeah, Bernard says Mack is not going to play in this game.
Well, then we don't have to be worried about it. Well, then Billy Turner's not going to play as well because he only gets up to play the best. That's what I've heard. When he knows he's going against the top flight guys, then he plays his best. Is that true?
I don't know. Zero thinks that you don't have a Patrick jersey yet. He bought a Patrick jersey before the season started.
I did.
That's why he almost got cut. Because he freaking jinxed them.
That's right. I jinxed him, and since I've not been wearing it, now he's playing great. And he's starting, and he's getting a chance to play. So I don't wear it anymore.
That's funny.
God dang it. Whatever I got to do to help the Packers, I will do it. That's what I do, for sure. And if that means not celebrating my favorite Packer, then that's what it means. I will take it for the team here. All right. Packers don't get calls against the rough teams like TB and the Rams. Look, and that's what people are going to talk about. We're going to play in the playoffs, but this week we're playing the Bears. Let's talk about the Bears. Okay, so the running back is doing pretty good. Are we concerned about the Packers getting the ball run on them? Normally, I would say maybe, but two things give me basically a lot of confidence here. It's not going to be an issue. Number one, Matt Nagy never sticks with the run. Even if his quarterback is terrible, he'll start calling passes in like the dumbest situations. He does it every single year. And number two, the Packers' run defense has been pretty good.
Yeah. So I think Tyler Lancaster
I'm not worried.
Has been playing great. I think Kenny Clark's been doing pretty dang good. Dean Lowry's been holding it down. Kiki's been doing pretty decent. Slayton's been having a rough game here or there, but those guys have been doing great against the run.
And the edge guys have been one of the biggest keys.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, they're not doing stupid stuff. So they're not giving the running back an easy way out. You know, they're holding their own, and they're looking to see what the running back's doing and where the ball's going. Maybe they don't get pressure as fast, but they're doing smart things. So I think I'm not as concerned about the Bears' rushing attack, especially with Campbell coming back now. And it seems like Amos and Barnes are being more aggressive at the line of scrimmage on running plays. And I don't know if it's a run blitz or if those guys are just going for it. They see it. They know what's going to happen, and they're just going and taking a shot. And the other thing I really like is I think this team is a much better swarm team. Last year, the team would kind of be passive, play back, and like if the first guy missed, there's nobody anywhere near anybody else to help tackle them. And next thing you know, the guy's running for 40 yards, right? Because Christian Kirksey or whatever couldn't make a play. So with this team, it seems like the guys, they rally and they tackle and they or at least get in the way and make a play and stop the run a little bit. So I'm not worried about the run.
It's funny how LaFleur's been talking about that specific thing for every single year he's been with the Packers. And it just didn't happen before this year. I don't know why. The head coach talked about it. We want to see guys flying around. We want to see guys flying to the ball, swarming to the ball. And we never saw it. Now we see it. So is that defensive coordinator change? Is that something else? I don't know. But it's better now. So the message finally getting through. The other thing is, okay, so I'm just trying to go through, like, some people are being worried. Okay, what else can we be worried about? Let's see. So the other part is the defense is better than we've had in a long time. Like, better at stopping teams. Better at stopping teams from moving the ball on. Okay, good. That gives your offense more opportunities, which is also good. So that also makes me feel confident. Okay, what else could we be worried about? Or we're worried. So we're not worried. No Mac. The Packers held up pretty good against the Rams based on their offensive approach. So as long as they continue to recognize, okay, if they can't pass block very long, let's do quick game. Let's run the ball.
Okay. Here's the thing I'm worried about.
What?
Randall Cobb is hurt.
Oh, okay.
And according to our sources in the Green Bay area, which is mom, dad, especially mom, she just told me earlier tonight. She said Randall Cobb is out for at least till the playoffs. And that hurts the quick pass game because Randall Cobb is super smart at finding the open hole in the zone. He's got a good relationship with Rodgers where they have signals that they can tell each other stuff, blah, 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 just like that. And he usually isn't getting double covered.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or Devontae sometimes get double covered. And it takes 25 years for Devontae to get open, where Cobb just kind of runs and gets open. So I really think Randall Cobb being out is going to be a little bit of a hindrance for the Packers offense. We may have more stalled drives again like we had earlier in the season when he wasn't in the game as much. Because he's kind of like the third down guy who gets us going.
Yep.
Unless Aaron Jones is back in full force and they can find a way to use him properly. But with Randall Cobb out, I think it's a big problem.
Let's see. All right, let's hold on. A couple things. We'll get to a couple comments in a second. Just to follow up on that. That is a big one. I've also heard Malik Taylor was been kind of in and out and might still be out too. So you're going to have to rely on our St. Brown. I kind of would prefer the Lions St. Brown. I wish we had that one. But we have our St. Brown, and he's going to have to be good. Now, guys are saying he's better. He's more reliable. He's doing things the right way. Okay, maybe he's been better this year than he has every other year, but I'm still not. I don't trust him, but I guess Packers have to. And then we really need Alan Lazard to freaking show up.
He's got to start playing better.
Out of his funk. Like, let's go, Lazard. We need you, man. Right?
He's the thing about Lazard. It's like he's a story. His story I root for.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 6'5" and you don't run through contact, you don't jump up and get contested balls, you constantly miss on running plays and your blocking assignments half the time. It's like this season has been really rough. When you watch the tape and go back and watch the game, and you're like, man, Lazard is all over the place, like not doing the right things. And you need him. If he's got that big body, he needs to shield off defenders. He needs to fight through contact. I can remember in the NFC Championship game last year, that interception happened because he's not fighting through the contact. He's just letting the guy grab him. I mean, elbow him in the head. Screw it. Get him out of your way. Make a play. If they're going to grab you, shove them. So they call offensive pass interference on you. Then the coaches get mad, and you sneeze on them, and then they think you got COVID and they run away.
Yeah,
you can do that too. I mean, come on, it all works.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right in that. I mean, if you knew that's what they were doing to you, because teams are going to do that sometimes, and we're going to see those same teams at some point. The Buccaneers' defensive backfield is going to get healthy. It's going to be those same guys. They're going to do the same tricks. So if you know that's how they're going to play it, you know they're not going to call it, then you gotta do it back. You gotta shove them back. You gotta fight through it because you know that's what's coming. So, and if you're not tough enough to do that or physical enough to do that or whatever, then you're gonna lose. And we don't want to lose anymore. This has to be the year. We've talked about it. So anyway, we need Alan Lazard to step up. But I feel like if the Packers run the ball enough, like they should, and if they continue to do quick game, and they can use Adams on quick game, they can use Jones, they can use, the tight ends a little bit. DeGuara is pretty solid. Sadies likes to catch it once in a while. Okay, great. Good. And Dylan's showing really good hands too. So give him
Dylan he's turning more and more into Dorsey Levens, which I like.
Oh,
he's not as good as Dorsey Levens yet, but he's getting there. When he starts catching deep 30-yard bombs in the end zone with the guy hanging all over him in the NFC Championship game, then we'll say he's got the Dorsey Levens on him, but he's not quite Dorsey Levens just yet.
All right. So anyway, I still feel like you guys shouldn't be worried, right? I mean, come on. No. It's fine.
Hey,
it's fine.
Zero said, who's going to be better in 3 years, Love or Fields? I say it all depends on Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is not a Packer next year, I think Love will be better in 3 years than what Fields will be. However, if Rodgers is back and Love is still sitting on the bench, he's not going to get any better sitting on the bench. So he'll just won't be better.
I would also point out it probably depends who the Bears' next coach is starting next year. Who they bring in, what kind of offensive system they run, what do they do with him? I mean, he's pretty athletic. Seems to me, you don't want to make him a pocket guy passer. More of a modern day quarterback. Have him run around, do a lot of boots and stuff. Fine, but I don't know. He didn't show me a lot yet, and we'll see. But I think it's a lot of times it's the situation. Rick pointed this out with Rasul Douglas too. Like, why has he been so crazy good with the Packers? Well, sometimes it's right place, right time. Sometimes it's perspective. Sometimes it's a lot of things. He talked about. I watched his presser this week, and he talked about how he was watching film before and he got some coaching, but a lot of people asked him questions, and he credited Jerry Gray. He's like, he just taught me some different ways to watch film and some different things to look at when I'm watching film. and how to stay focused on what I need to get out of the film when I'm watching it. But Douglas took the initiative and asked Gray to come early to the facility to watch film with him before they actually had meetings and practice and all that stuff. So he made the extra effort himself, but then he also got some good advice and some good coaching. And he said, and Jerry Gray encouraged him too, which is, I don't know when the last time this stuff was said to Packers cornerbacks, but I like it. Or he was encouraging him, like, trust what you see and go for it. Don't like psych yourself out of making the play, because then you second guess yourself on the next play. So trust your film, trust your study, trust what you see, and make the play. And that's what he's telling these guys to do. So yeah, that's what I want my corners to do. You get beat once in a while, big freaking deal. But I want to see you battling out there and making some picks, making some plays on the ball, and rattling these receivers and stuff. So anyway, I think Packers defense is stronger. Check. I think the Packers have a better coach. Check. I think the Packers have a better punter. Check. I think the Packers offense will be fine. I think we shouldn't be worried. I'm not that worried.
I'm not worried.
Because in the end, you still got Matt Nagy, who, come on, man. So there you have it. Hey, the Patriots won the game by only throwing 3 passes. What do you think of that?
I think it's awesome.
I wanted to do a show earlier in the week because of all that stuff between the Lions beating the Vikings and then that crazy game. I was like, man, I want to talk about this, but that's fine. We didn't have time for it.
Well, I mean, I've said, like,
that's insane.
I want to see running the ball. Like, that's the thing. Like, everybody's like, oh, you got to be a pass to win games. It's like, no, you don't. If you're running for 5 yards a carry, which is what A.J. Dillon's average is this season,
right?
Why are we not just running the ball every damn play until the defense, says, okay, we're going to stop it by putting all the guys in the box. Then you go over the top and crush them. But I mean, honest to God, run the ball. Even if our offensive line sucks, and he's still getting 5 yards a carry. Aaron Jones is still averaging 4-point-some yards a carry. Like, do you remember when Edgar Bennett had 3.2 yards a carry when he was a starter and everybody thought he was good because he was the mutter?
Because he got 1,000
and that was with a good offensive line. I mean,
yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And there are times too, I'll point this out. I don't know if anyone else thinks like this in like late in Packer games. So the Packers had a number of these games this year in the last couple of years where they have the lead, right? They have the lead. They're up by a score or 2 scores maybe. But they're not trying to score anymore. They're just trying to possess the ball. It's like 4-minute offense, whatever. And then the other team loads up against the run. And that's the times they will run. And the other team loads up against the run. And then I'm like, this is the time to run play action. Like, if you haven't done it hardly all game, right now is the perfect time because they are loaded up. You will get an easy first down. And then the game's over because you probably score again. And then it's totally over. Then we have to worry about all this stuff. They seem to not want to do that. I don't know why. I would totally do it. What are you worried about? You have like one of the least turnover prone quarterbacks of all time. He is the least, I think, turnover quarterback of all time at the trigger. You think he's going to screw it up? I don't. Trust him. Trust him for the back-breaking play. I want more back-breaking plays late in these games instead of trying to grind it out, and then it looks like, oh, it's a touchdown win. When really you kick the team's butt the whole game, pretty much. But you let it get closer towards the end and you weren't trying to score. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see some more plays like that because other teams do it and you never know. If you do that and then you don't get it and you give them another chance, you just never know. We've seen the ball bounce in weird ways in games in the past. I don't need any more of that crap in my Packer fandom. So I want to see a little bit more aggressive calls in the 4-minute offense late in the game, especially when the other team's gearing up to stop the run. And then during the rest of the game, when they're not gearing up to stop the run the ball. Run it. That's what I think.
I want to see aggressive plays downfield, but like it's got to be the right play calls. Like yeah. I think the MVS lineup at out wide 1-on-1 matchup is not working as well anymore.
MVS
but when they put him in the slot,
yeah,
nobody can cover him because the safeties are too slow and linebackers are too dumb. That's where he needs to be. Put Devontae out wide. And the other thing is, a lot of times when they put Devontae over by himself,
Bernard,
that's fine. And Bernard says he's a goat herder, apparently, because he has all the goats. He says, I'm the goat herder.
Classic.
All right.
Zero likes those grind out wins. Come on.
I don't mind them as long as they keep the play going. The thing that's different this year is last year when the offense would sputter in the second quarter, and then the start of the second half, third quarter, Aaron Jones, every other game would have like a huge play. He'd get him right back in, and he'd like jumpstart the offense. This year, Aaron Jones hasn't had any. He had the 2 screen passes in a row. They're like 2 plays apart. And that's really it. Other than that, it's been MVS. And we also haven't had that many big MVSs because he hasn't been playing.
Right.
Last year, he had 4 or 5 huge deep touchdowns, and then he dropped like 3 more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had the highest yards per catch last year. And this year, he hasn't played much. And the explosive plays are not there as much. But the consistency in the running game has been there for A.J. Dillon, especially on third downs now that they've been using him. And he just kind of bowls over dudes and gets the first down. And that's awesome. Like, so what if he's, only gets a yard and a half? If you only needed a yard, you got a first down. You keep the play going. It doesn't put you in a bad situation. But, Zero's talking about, Taylor Heineke, and it's like 10-minute drive. That's because those guys, listen, it's the reason why the Chiefs have not been as good this year, right? Because defenses have challenged them. They're like, you guys love to make the big play. We're going to take away the big play. And then what are you going to do about it? And some teams and some players want to be cool and make the big play. And because they're not patient enough to just grind out a win, they make mistakes and then lose. The Packers need to be able to do both. And I think they can. And I think it'll get better as time goes on here if they can get Bakhtiari back too. And they'll be able to sustain the grind out wins, and then also take shots in games because they'll have a little bit more pass protection with Bakhtiari in there. And they won't have to cheat over to help. They can help the other side or help in the middle or whatever the case is. I would like to see a few more play action plays, especially, in that grind out period though.
Absolutely. Just come on.
Just once in a while.
It's one thing if you have a guy who might screw it up or might do something dumb or whatever. But come on, Rodgers if he hasn't proved to you by now that he's going to make a good decision and probably the right play most of the time, come on, you can trust him to at least not throw it to the other team, I would say. So, but anyway, I would just love to see that. It's fine. It's fine. I do want to move on, and I want to check on a couple things here. The other key point, as we pointed out last week, is the rule change a few years back that they now it's not a penalty for the offensive line to go in and push their backs when they're kind of stood up, slam into the pile and shove everything forward, which Quinn Miners loves, by the way, because he'll slam into the pile. Yeah. But also, at least the Packers have a guy who will do that all the time. Lucas Patrick, and then John Runyon.
And John Runyon. Both those guys like doing it.
So that's good because that helps. Because there are a few times Dillon was kind of almost stopped, and those guys are like, "Hey, we're still going to go," and then they just slam in there, and he gets another couple of yards. That's great. Yeah. So I love that rule change. Fantastic. It sucked when that was a penalty for a while. Then guys said that
was dumb. Just like when they said that. Remember when they had the penalty for a while where if you were a defensive back and the guy caught the ball and you pushed him out of bounds, they were like, "Well, he would have came down inbound, so we're going to call it a catch."
Yeah.
Remember when they had that rule for a while?
Yeah.
Now they changed it back to being, you got to get his. That's dumb. If the sideline is your friend, you should be able to use that sideline to push guys out of bounds if it looks like they're coming down in a catch. Because what else? You can't hit them before the ball gets there. Now you're saying you can't even touch them after they catch the ball? That's dumb. So that was a good rule when they changed it back to being normal again.
All right. So you got so anyway, if anyone has any concerns about the about the Bears, you could, hey, Blas, if you have a concern about this Bears game, it's legitimate. We'll talk about it. But I think hopefully we convinced you to not be worried at all. The Packers should win this game. I think they're favored by a crazy amount, like 12.5 or something, which is a really big line for the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty crazy. But I mean, look, the Bears aren't good, and the Packers are at home, and the Packers are pretty damn good. They haven't figured that out by now. They are. And that's in spite of all the injuries and all the other stuff. So I think we're in good shape. Anyway, all right, Ben, you got a top tens? Are we ready for it?
Sure. Okay, so here we go. I looked at, this is quarterback top tens. I'll go real fast. Based on what I did before the season, 3 guys have fallen off the list of the top 10 that were here at the start of the season. And there's been some guys that have moved around, and there's 2 guys who stayed exactly where they were. So here we go. Number 10. The number 10 quarterback in the NFL, according to Ben's top 10, is our guy, Taylor Heineke, of the Washington football team. Listen, when you can take a bunch of random dudes and win games with pure leadership and craziness, you're making my top 10 quarterbacks. I don't care. He's got more heart, more guts, more talent than, I think, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson. And he's the same type of guy. He's a run around, make a play guy, not always follow the rules. And I think he's a better version of Mayfield than Russell Wilson. That's why he makes the list.
Top 5.
I don't know about top 5, but top 10 for sure. Top 10 quarterback, Taylor Heineke.
Let me talk about him real quick, because I was going to bring this up to you, because I didn't get to watch the game because I didn't show it here. It was the one game last week I was really excited to watch and wanted to watch, was Washington football against Raiders. But I watched the extended highlights and all that sort of stuff. Now, yeah, Heineke misses some throws. He doesn't have the greatest arm, whatever. But he makes plays, and he makes a bunch of plays with his legs, and he battles, and he makes plenty of plays. He makes plenty of throws that you need. And I was just thinking, like, would you rather have, so let's say, let's say Aaron Rodgers is no longer the quarterback, and you had your choice of, like, some of these young guys who are unproven. Would that be your guy that you'd want?
No.
No?
My guy would be Gardner Minshew.
Oh, Gardner.
Who showed up this last week and won again. Came out of nowhere for the Eagles and looked like a superstar. Averaged over 9.8 yards per attempt, or per completion. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Eagles destroyed the team. I can't remember who played the Jets or something, but whatever. Who cares? They still were awesome.
I would take Taylor Heineke, because as long as Royce Newman's blocking for him, you're gonna need a guy that can run around, get away from trouble. So I would take Taylor Heineke just to see Aaron Rodgers if we could have that scenario.
Well,
but okay, you can move on unless you got another.
Well, after you're saying that, Taylor Heineke, listen to this. The guy has he hasn't started every game this year, right? There's only one player in the top 10 at quarterbacks that has more yards rushing total than Taylor Heineke has. Okay? There's only one quarterback in my top 10 who has more average yards per carry than Taylor Heineke, and it's only by 0.1. Because Taylor Heineke's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He's got 1 rushing touchdown. He has 5 fumbles, but only 1 fumble lost. So that's not so bad. He's got 18 touchdowns, 11 picks. 68 completion percentage, which is pretty much the same as everybody. Everybody's like 66 to 68, somewhere in there.
Oh.
He has been sacked 24 times, but that's the kind of the way he plays, run around and whatever. But he's pretty good.
Oh.
But as you know, Minshew is the man. Anyways.
All right, continue on.
That's number 10. Number 9, this guy was at number 7 at the start of the year. He's dropped down a little bit, but he's had to go through a lot this year with his team, and that's Derek Carr. He'll show up for a game, and then he'll disappear for a game. I think he's got all the talent, and he's got the leadership ability, and he can make all the throws and all that kind of stuff. But this year has been a little bit rough on him. But he's still a top 10 quarterback in my eyes.
Can I ask one quick thing about Derek Carr?
Sure.
Derek Carr to me feels like, and I know he's had a couple of like end game wins and stuff this year, but he seems to operate the offense well during most of the game. But like they had a chance. They had the ball with over a minute, right? And maybe this is some perspective for the rest of us to see how like most other teams actually feel when they get the ball with like a minute left. If we're the Packers and we get the ball with a minute left, we have a chance to kick field goal or maybe even a chance to get a touchdown, like you feel like that there's a good chance that might happen with Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Derek Carr, what the hell was he doing that last? I mean, was it just what is he chucking the ball? He's got like 50 seconds on the clock and he's throwing it like 50-yard bomb downfield when they're playing prevent defense and then it's just incomplete. That's not what you do. You get some plays, you get some yards, you work your way down there to a range. Like what? So I don't know. Is he a good quarterback running the system most of the game, but situationally he's not that good?
Maybe.
And does that take him out of your top 10? Because
it might. I mean, it was
so
tough.
much of winning football games ends up being like, what do you do in these specific situations?
I got to be honest. There's two guys that I had a hard time keeping off the list, and it was like 7, 8, 9, and then these other two guys. I had 5 guys for 3 spots. So I kind of went with guys I liked instead of maybe guys that should have been on there. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, as far as that goes. But so my number 8 quarterback, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Well, here's the thing about Derek Carr. He averages 8.1 yards per completion, which is one of the highest in the league. Okay. He's got 58. He's got number one. He's number one in 20-plus pass completions. He's got 58 completions of 20 or more yards. So you're talking big play in the air, 20-plus yards, 58. There's nobody else who's got as many as him. Okay? Mm-hmm. He's got 8 of 40-plus. There are guys who have more than that, but that's still quite a bit. So he does take shots downfield. Mm-hmm. Okay? So he's a different style than some other guys are. So you got to put that into perspective too. My number 8 quarterback is Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
last week or before the season started, he was 12. He didn't make a top 10. Listen, 27 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
67 completion percentage. He has 50 passes of 20-plus yards this season. Okay? He's got 7 of 40-plus yards. Only been sacked 18 times. So he doesn't get sacked very often. And, I mean, you can't – 27 touchdowns, only 5 picks.
Okay.
That's Aaron Rodgers type stuff right there.
Right. The stats say good. And
but the reason why he's 8 is because he's not a leader guy. You can't count on him when when it's time for him to make a play or time for him to lead the team.
Right.
He doesn't do it. And that's why it's like if everything's perfect, I don't think there's anybody who can pass as good as him. Like it's him and Aaron Rodgers are like some of the 2 most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. But when chips are down and something goes wrong, he screws it up. Like he always does. Mm-hmm. So, if it's a perfect play, fine. But otherwise, he gets nervous and starts doing weird stuff.
And he's another guy that, like, end game time management doesn't seem good. End game situational decisions, like, I don't know. That's, to me, it's like, yeah, Carr, I would put Carr above him because Carr makes stuff happen within the pocket. Carr buys time when he needs to. Things don't have to be perfect. He can throw off of different platforms. He performs well to me, like the majority of the game, and he does.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Carr has more yards this year than Cousins has. Okay, mm-hmm. Cousins has 10 more touchdowns and 4 less interceptions. That's why I had to put Cousins ahead of Carr.
All right.
Me personally, if it was my football team, I would take Carr over Cousins.
Okay.
But we're talking about a top 10 quarterback this season, as of right now. And with those stats of 27 touchdowns and 5 picks, you got to go with Kirk Cousins.
Ooh, Ekis is crediting Jefferson. Well, I'll tell you, sure the
Don't
hell
credit Jefferson.
It sure the hell ain't Adam Thielen because he's stinking it up for my fantasy team all year.
Well, he got hurt
he's
again.
Not doing anything. Yeah, he's hurt all the time.
All right, my number 7 quarterback is a guy who I think stinks, but when you have numbers like this, you got to put him into number 7, and that's Matt Stafford. No, I don't think he's that great. I think he proved when you watch that game, the Packers and the Rams, and you watch Rodgers throw the ball, and then you watch Stafford throw the ball, it was like night and day. He's not even not near the quarterback that Rodgers is. But when you got 30 touchdowns and only 9 picks, and you had 49 passes of 20-plus yards in completions, and he has 13 passes of 40-plus yards. Now, 2 of them came against the Packers this last week. Those are the only 2 big plays he had. And the defense shut him down otherwise, and he had a fumble, and he had an intercept pick 6, and he has pick 6 3 weeks in a row. Those are all problems. But he's only got 9 interceptions for the year. So, but here's the thing that's really weird. If I asked you, who do you think is the worst runner, Tom Brady or Matt Stafford, you'd probably say Tom Brady. You're wrong. Matt Stafford has 25 carries for 39 yards this year. He's averaging 1.6 yards per carry, which is even worse than Tom Brady. But when you got 30 touchdowns and 13 passes of 40-plus yards, and you've only been sacked 17 times, and here's the other thing. He's only had 2 fumbles this whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was against the Packers.
Yep.
So he's only had, and only one fumble was actually lost. So he's only had 10 total turnovers that were caused by him. And he's got 30 touchdowns.
Right.
That's a pretty good ratio for a quarterback. So as much as I can't stand the guy, his numbers, you got to put him on here.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Matt Stafford personally or whatever. I think he's fine. I just think he's always been a stat compiler. He's like the Rafael Palmeiro kind of. Well, not because of partly because of longevity.
Rafael Palmeiro, you're going old school.
Rafi because he played so long. You know, I was like, oh, he's in the 500 club. Well, yeah, because he played 47 years. Well, whatever. But the thing is, he's always been a stat compiler. Why? Because the Lions are always bad, and he got to throw a bunch of times. He always had a bunch of yards and touchdowns.
That's Matt Ryan.
No, well, that's Matt Ryan too. But that was Stafford with the Lions.
I consider Stafford, Matt Ryan are similar players.
Right, and then Stafford goes to the Rams. They're like, okay, but what was the difference? What was the difference when because it was like through the first 7 games or whatever, oh, Matt Stafford's MVP. The difference was in a bunch of those early games, in the first portion of the season, the Rams were handling teams. They were squarely ahead of teams. There was no pressure on him to perform. It was fun and easy and all that, right? What does he do when tough stuff isn't going the greatest? When stuff is kind of tough, he doesn't perform. And he's always been like that. So he always has a lot of stats, impressive looking stats. So he's a stat compiler guy. I mean, he's not a winning quarterback. I know he changed teams and all this sort of stuff, and they're all hyped about it. And then they started to say, oh, his back hurts and this hurts and that hurts. Okay, great. Well, then don't play. But if you're going to play, then you're playing. No excuses, man. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I think about Matt Stafford.
So Stafford he's a guy who I didn't have on the list.
I think so far, I think you got Heineke in the wrong spot. He should be ahead of all these other guys already.
Probably.
I know he doesn't have the stats, but the way
I think I just put him at 10. See, I put him at 10 before I even did the whole list. I was like, I'm putting Heineke at 10. I don't care what anybody says. And then I started doing that because I put my numbers down 1 through 10. And then I wrote down guys as I was looking at their stats and figuring out things. You know what I mean? Like I knew what number 1 was. I knew what number 10 was. Everything else in the middle I had to kind of do. And like I said, when I got to 7, 8, and 9, I had 5 guys for 7, 8, and 9. And the 2 guys that didn't make it were Dak Prescott, who had very similar numbers to Stafford and Cousins and Carr and all that kind of stuff. And the other guy is Joe Burrow, who is very good, but I don't like him as much as I like Cousins and Carr and Stafford. Oh. Stafford had better numbers than all those guys, and Cousins did too.
I know Cousins got crazy numbers this year. I know.
So it's like Cousins and Stafford, their numbers are way better than Dak and Burrow, but I put Carr ahead of, and so then it was like, okay, well, I like Carr better. Cousins and Stafford have better numbers. So it's like it was those 5 guys for 3 spots, and that's kind of how it ended up working that way. But
we're
getting the top
it's
6.
Hard place. I will say it's hard to like making those decisions, placing guys. So anyway,
these are the top 6 quarterbacks, though. Right.
All right,
now.
you go for it.
Number 6. Here we go. We got Kyler Murray. He went from 9 at the start of the year, moving to 6. And he missed some games, sure. But here's the thing: he's averaging 8.9 yards per completion. Okay, he's averaging 73% completion percentage, which is 5 points higher than even the best guy after him. Everybody else is like 68 to 66. He's averaging 73. He's got 19 touchdowns, only 7 picks. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns, which is more than anybody else. Now, his average yards per carry is only 3.5, which is kind of low. And he's been sacked 19 times, even though he missed a bunch of games in there. But it's just, he's so dynamic, it's hard to stop him. It's hard to wrangle him and do things like that. He does make like flaws in his game. He doesn't always see things. Sometimes he throws it without reading it. A lot of times he'll hold on to the ball a little too long, try to make a play. But he's so scary that he's replaced Russell Wilson for me. Russell Wilson was number 6 before, and now Wilson is completely off the list. And Murray is number 6. So there you go.
Fair enough. And he's doing that all with the smallest hands of any man. They're about the same size as my hands. Tiny little hands.
All right. I don't know how he's even throwing a ball.
I don't know.
So that's Murray, number 6. Number 5, we got a guy who was at 4 before the year started. But think with him, he has a couple good games, then he's got a stinker where you're like, what happened? And then he has a couple good games, then he has a stinker. No. Josh Allen. Josh Allen goes from 4 to 5. And it's because he's just inconsistent this year. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what's going on. He's got all the talent. He's got all the stuff. And for some reason, he's not putting it all together. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry when he runs the ball. So he should do more of that because he's awesome there. He's got 3 touchdowns rushing. He's got 26 touchdowns passing. But he's got 10 picks. He's got 7 fumbles, and 3 of them are lost. So that's 13 turnovers and 29 touchdowns. That's not as good a ratio as, Matt Stafford, obviously, but he's more dynamic. His completion percentage of 66% is lower than everybody else on the list. It's right about the same or lower. And here's the other thing. It's weird. He's got 41 passes of 20-plus yards and only 8 of 40-plus yards. So he's not as dynamic as Stafford is, or even Derek Carr, or guys like that. So you'd think that he would be progressing from last year, and he's actually regressed. So he's not. I had to knock him down in one spot.
The other thing is that people have been pointing out is they just don't ever run the ball. And when you're going to pass it that much and teams are going to play pass against you, well, it's harder to do it. And he's finding that out too. Teams are figuring him out.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. So, he can take off and run too and break tackles and do stuff. So it's, maybe, but I think his offense can help him out a little bit by at least attempting some more runs to help him out. But people they think he's too high. A couple guys thought Murray was a little bit lower or too low, but so far not bad.
Okay.
Zero has Allen out of the top 10 according to Zero.
Well, I don't agree with that. His team is still pretty good, and it's a lot of it has to do with him because they don't have a running back at all.
Yeah, it's pretty.
All right, now my number 4 guy was number 2 at the start of the year. Well, we just talked about this a little while ago. He's the guy teams have dared him to be patient, and he has not done well this year, and that's Pat Mahomes. He can't do it. He's got to try to make the big play. Mm-hmm. He's got to try to run around and do crazy stuff. And teams are playing super off coverage and saying, "Go ahead, we'll give you a 9-yard pass, take it." And he's like, "No, I want to throw a 30-yard bomb." Sorry, they ain't gonna give it to you, dude. And this year, Patrick Mahomes only 26 touchdowns, 10 picks, or 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. He's had 6 fumbles, 3 of them were lost. He's only averaging 66% completion percentage, which is the same as Josh Allen. He's got 7.1 yards per completion, which is less than Josh Allen. So he's got less touchdowns, same completion percentage, less yards per completion. He's only got 33 passes of 20-plus yards. 33. Mm-hmm. And I told you before, Derek Carr had 58.
Wow.
Yeah. He's only got 5 passes of 40-plus yards. So Pat Mahomes is not as dynamic as he used to be. And he's trying to find a way to get it back. And teams are figuring it out. Like, okay, dude, we know you're awesome, but can you be awesome and by being smart? And so far, he hasn't proven he can do it every game. Mm-hmm. He got lucky when the Packers played Jordan Love instead of Rodgers, because Rodgers had COVID. Otherwise, he would have lost that game too. So Mahomes is 4, dropped from 2 to 4. He's still good though. 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, one quick thing about him is it's kind of a slumpier year for him, and he's been struggling. And I would say he got to that point in his career a lot quicker than Aaron Rodgers did. But everybody anointed him after a couple of years. He was the greatest thing of all time, and that's why I said, hold on a minute for me. Because to me, I want to see it for a while, and I want to see how consistent you are. To me, put your place in there about how really great you were as a player. And I got to see it for a lot longer than Pat Mahomes. See how I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's got talent, but he's got to adjust. He's got to learn how to adjust to what defenses are doing.
The other thing is
still be successful.
Like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce have been dropping balls like a lot this year. So that hurts him too. Just like they did in the Super Bowl. Kelce and Hill both had drops. Some of Patrick Mahomes' interceptions have dropped right off of Tyreek Hill's hands. So it's not all his fault.
Everybody wants him lower, but...
And Eckes is saying, a pass of 20-plus yards could be a 2-yard pass and run for 19 yards. You're right, but not on the Packers it can't, because Rodgers doesn't do that very often. It was once for A.J. Dillon this year where he ran for 50 yards after a 2-yard pass. But most of the time, Rodgers likes to throw deep.
Not the last couple games, though. Last couple games, he's been.
Well, he hasn't had time to do that, and he shouldn't. He has no time to do that.
He's been playing the way he should play with that offensive line.
Now, so we're going to number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 this year was number 3 before the year started. He's still the same. He has 23 touchdowns, which is less than Patrick Mahomes. He has 0 fumbles lost, though, only 2 fumbles. He has 3 rushing touchdowns this year. Only 4 interceptions. The lowest of anybody in the whole NFL. Only 66% completion percentage, same as Patrick Mahomes, same as Josh Allen. He has 39 passes of 20-plus yards, 10 passes of 40-plus yards. And he's been sacked 21 times, but let's face it, he's got Royce Newman blocking for him and Billy Turner. So he's probably going to get sacked a few times. He should have been sacked probably way more than that, probably twice that much, but he's Aaron Rodgers and he gets out of it. And he's number 3. And people know why he's number 3. He's not a leader. He's not the leader like the next guy is going to be. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well,
he's still really good. He's number 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's pretty damn good.
I got something for your next guy. But let me just say about what you said with Rodgers. Yeah, the stats haven't been there. But one thing I will say, I was surprised by the number of big 20-plus yard passes and 40-plus yard passes with MVS being out for as many weeks as he was.
Yeah.
I mean, that completely changed the dynamic of their offense. Most defensive coordinators and defensive backs do not have to respect hardly anybody going deep on them. And so those are pretty impressive stats considering MVS being out, considering the offensive line, what it has been, and what the Packers have chosen for it to be, which is also even worse than what it has been. And then the injuries and all that stuff too. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I just want real quick.
I will explain
Aaron
why
Rodgers,
I think Brady should be lower, but that's fine.
Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, real quick, because everybody says Kirk Cousins sucks. Aaron Rodgers has 23 touchdown passes. Kirk Cousins 27. Aaron Rodgers has 4 picks. Kirk Cousins has 5 picks.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers has 39 passes of 20-plus yards. Kirk Cousins has 50. Aaron Rodgers has 21 sacks. Kirk Cousins has 8 sacks. Okay? The numbers are better for Kirk Cousins. But he's at 8. Rodgers is at 3. What do we got?
People want Rodgers higher. They don't want
higher than 3. What more can you? There's only 2 guys better than him, and one of them has won 7 damn Super Bowls, and he's been to 10.
Yeah, but I'll tell you,
and he's number 2. Tom Brady is number 2.
I'll tell you what you should watch. I'll tell you my.
No, I don't care what you tell me to watch.
Oh, that's
the guy's
fine.
got 34 touchdowns. He's got only 10 picks. He has 51 passes of 20+ yards.
Only 10 picks. Only 10.
Some might be dump offs. Some might be really. Who gives a crap? It's 51 freaking huge plays.
Dumped it to Leonard Fournette.
He's got a 68% completion percentage, which is better than Rodgers. He's averaging 3.7 yards per rush. Yeah, that's better than Edgar Bennett. I'll take a 44-year-old Tom Brady over Edgar Bennett. Okay. He's only been sacked. Are you ready for this? Only been sacked 14 times. And a lot of people complain. They're like, oh, Tom Brady, he's so... It's kind of... Sometimes it's smart to get rid of the ball and not take a sack, because a sack can be a drive killer. Tom Brady doesn't take sacks. If he can avoid him and he sees it coming, he avoids it. Not many people do that. His leadership, his arm talent, and his smarts make him number 2. No matter what anybody says. Those things are important. And they help you win 7 Super Bowls. And help you be on a team that's really good. And it's number 3 in the NFC right now.
Well, I was just talking about, Zero's talking about all of Brady's weapons, and he made a comment before about how he shouldn't have all those picks with weapons, with the weapons he has. To me, it's not about the weapons. To me, it's about the offensive line and the way they hold and protect. That dude hardly ever has pressure on him. And I'm just telling you, like, Kirk Cousins looked fantastic if he has no pressure on him. I would almost say Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady behind the same offensive line. Kirk Cousins a better quarterback. Better. He's got a better arm. He can do things better. I can take Kirk Cousins over Tom Brady behind the same offensive line. And if you put Tom Brady, this is why your Tom Brady argument doesn't hold water for me, because Tom Brady is on the right team for him.
That's part of it. He got a choice. He got a choice to go to a team that he wanted to.
Right.
Sorta. Actually, nobody wanted him. Remember? He wanted to go to 49ers. They didn't want him.
Well, yeah, because he would have got his ass kicked.
He wanted to go to the Colts.
He can't roll out. He couldn't have survived behind that offensive line. Yeah, because he couldn't have held up behind that offense. Look, sometimes Brady gets rid of the ball quickly. Yes. But other times I watch plenty of plays and plenty of highlights where he's waiting for Gronk to get open. And you know what? There's nobody around him. I mean, that pocket is so damn clean. What do you mean, so what? You put here's the difference. You put Tom Brady behind the Packers offensive line.
You know what'll happen? He'll like dump it off. He'll dump it off to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And you know what? Those two guys would kill everybody. And the Packers would still be better. They actually would have 0 losses.
I doubt it.
Because he'd be smart enough to get the ball to the playmakers. Because the receivers aren't as good as the running backs. Period. He can do it with guys that suck. He's been doing it for years with some random running back that Bill Belichick scrapped off picked them up off the street. You tell me he couldn't do it with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones? You bet your ass he could.
The only decision
better than Rodgers. Period. Because he knows he makes the smart decision instead of being the superhero. And you know what? He's going to go down as the best of all time because he's smart enough to get the ball to the guys who have more talent and athletic ability than he does. Does that make you the best quarterback in the NFL? Yes, because he's smart.
That's fine. But I'm just saying.
We're not talking talent. We're talking total quarterback.
I'm saying you cannot deny how much time and how much comfort he has behind his offensive line compared to just watch him play and watch what he has to deal with versus watch what even like Rodgers has to deal with. Rodgers almost never has a clean pocket. Rodgers almost has to make decisions super quick or he's screwed or he's got to run around and do a bunch of stuff. And I get it. And you have to be smart to do that. And he's been doing it the last couple of weeks.
Rodgers is number 3.
That's what Rodgers needs to do more of. But I'm just saying, if you took Brady and you stuck him behind the Packers O-line with pressure up the middle a lot, like they get, he'd be toast. He'd be toast. He'd be sacked 50 times already. He'd be sacked 100 times in 17 games. And he'd have, or he'd do what he did in the NFC Championship, or he'd do what he did in the NFC Championship and just throw it up there for you to pick it off. Because he gets nervous. He just gets nervous. Yeah, because their receivers couldn't fight through the contact. Because our receivers couldn't fight through the contact.
He'd still win.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And I'm just saying, stick him behind
He's
the
got
Packers.
11 more touchdowns than Rodgers.
Put Royce Newman on his O-line and see how he does. And Billy Turner.
He's got
right
12 more passes of 20-plus yards.
Yeah.
He's got 7 less sacks than Rodgers. He's averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Rodgers is having 3.2 yards per carry. Brady has got more athletic ability than Rodgers, apparently, based on the stats.
Yeah, the stats lie. But
every stat is better except for picks.
I would take Heineke over Brady. Anyway, continue on.
Okay, well, I like Heineke. I'm not saying that. I like most of these guys. And now, of course, number one. He was number one before the season started, and he's still number one. Because he's got the best arm. He's a 6'6" monster.
He's a big dude.
He's averaging 5.7 yards per carry, which is the best in the NFL at his quarterback. I take that back. Lamar Jackson's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. So he's 0.1 less than Lamar Jackson. It's Justin Herbert. He's the best.
Herbert.
He is the best. 27 touchdowns, 11 picks, 40-plus passes, 20-plus yards, 10-plus passes of 40-plus yards. He has been sacked 25 times, but his own line's kind of stinky. I mean, come on, he's got Brian Bulaga over there.
And Lindsley, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they're both healthy. They're probably not even both healthy.
Yeah, right, they're probably hurt.
2 touchdowns rushing, so he's got 29 total touchdowns. But the difference is this. When you watch the games, when you watch Herbert pass the ball, it just looks different. It looks like a rocket shot out of his hand. Like, it's just like, whoa, craziness. It's craziness. The guy's insane. And I saw it when I watched the combine, and I told everybody, Justin Herbert's the man. The Packers should do whatever they can and trade up and get this guy, because this guy has got talent that I have not seen before. He is insane. He's like Rodgers, except instead of being 6'2" and skinny, he's 6'6" and a monster. And he's fast, and he's athletic, and he does all kinds of crazy stuff. Herbert is the best quarterback in the NFL. Period. End of story. Number one. Awesomest guy. There you go.
He's super talented, and he's performing. I mean, this is only his second year, right? So
yeah,
dudes. I mean, come on. You look at guys in their first couple of years, what he's done, what he shows, and I mean, way better than Allen, way better than a bunch of these guys who were being anointed as like the next best quarterbacks to, going to take the mantle from Rodgers and Brady and these guys. No, this guy's better than them. He's better than Lamar Jackson. He's better, who's already won an MVP. He's better than freaking Murray. He's better than pretty much Josh Allen, anybody you can name. Pat Mahomes.
Joe Burrow.
I take him over Pat Mahomes too.
Better than Patrick Mahomes? I don't know about that, but he's pretty good.
I think
he's a better thrower of the ball.
Yeah, because Pat Mahomes is trying to always look for, like you said, he can't be patient enough. And if he learns to be more patient, he'll be okay. But
Butter, I'm telling you, if the Packers would have traded up and grabbed him, Rodgers would have been shipped out of town the very next day. The very next day, the Packers would have been like, see ya.
Next day.
They would have watched Herbert throw the ball once and been like, Rodgers, we're going to trade you. See you, bye.
That's what they said about Rodgers when they knew right away when they saw him in practice, and they're like, yeah, this guy's got something. Okay, we can move on. And that's sometimes at some point you got to move on. But right now,
see, Blas, they would never had Love. See, Blas is saying sit behind Love. No, because they would have traded up. They would have used that pick that they had where they traded up. We thought they were going to take Patrick Queen. They would have used that pick instead to trade even higher up to get Herbert at 6.
So many,
especially when the Dolphins didn't take him. How would you like to be a Dolphins fan right now?
Weird.
Wouldn't that suck to be a Dolphins fan? Tua? They drafted Tua when Herbert was sitting right there.
Right. They drafted super high a game manager, a guy who they have to just kind of like hope he makes a couple plays and doesn't screw up. That's who they drafted super high. That's not who you want. Anyway.
Hey, so this is my list, everybody. I don't care what you all say. I don't have Lamar Jackson on here.
No.
He's got only 16 touchdowns and 13 picks. He's got 64% passing.
Rough.
Not good. 37 times. He's been sacked 37 times. 37 times. That's almost 3 times as much as Tom Brady's been sacked this year.
Teams are figuring him out too. It's the thing, right?
It's crazy to think that he won MVP just a couple years ago.
Right.
And that Mahomes won MVP just a couple years ago. And now teams have figured him out. And it's the same thing. Like you've said this many times about Aaron Rodgers, where like Cam Newton.
Yep.
These guys show up and they're like, oh, this is going to be, he's the greatest athletic freak of all. And this might even happen with Justin Herbert for all we know. You know, he looks awesome right now, but can he have that sustained career like Rodgers has and Tom Brady has? Because the rest of these guys, I mean, Kirk Cousins is a stat compiler and Stafford's a stat compiler. The rest of these guys are all either young or like Carr, who's kind of like in between, who don't know what he is. Mm-hmm. But he was in MVP conversations for one season before he got hurt in the playoffs. Yep.
Remember when Carson Wentz was going to be the next?
Yeah, Carson Wentz was going to be the next greatest thing, right? Yeah. And it's just, but can these guys sustain it? And that'll be the test. Can Herbert keep being as awesome as he is and continue to be better? Because right now, sometimes his decision making's off, you know, stuff like that. But he doesn't have the best protection either. And Austin Eckler, he fumbled twice in his game the other day. Now they still won, but it's like, yeah. He is his fault. His running backs fumbled all the dang time. So I don't know. Whatever.
One thing is clear. One thing is clear. Regardless if you debate Ben's list or the order, and I debated them some and whatever, is that none of those guys are on the Bears. The Bears do not have a top 10 quarterback. They have not had a top 10 quarterback for my lifetime and probably beyond my lifetime that I can remember. Is there anybody good? Who was the last good quarterback for the Bears that you could actually say was a good quarterback? Anybody got one?
Nobody. There's not nobody. I can't think of anybody for a Bears quarterback who was ever any good. Entertaining, sure. Jim McMahon was entertaining, but he wasn't.
Yeah, really he wasn't good. I mean, he was a Super Bowl winner, but not because of him. He wasn't good. Like who was good for the Bears? They made a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as their quarterback. Like they cycled in so many guys. Like it's astounding how bad the Bears have been at trying to find a quarterback for so long. If you were a Bears fan, I almost pity you at this point. It's just like, yikes.
And that's the difference between the Bears and the Lions.
At least the Lions have had talent at quarterback.
No, but what I'm saying is, like the Lions, yeah. I hope good things for them to come someday. Bears, never. I don't ever want anything good to happen, ever. Not ever. They should suck forever. I hate the Bears. Hate them.
Oh, Bernard says Jay Cutler. Was Jay Cutler really good?
No.
Was he good? He was talented, I guess. But he was also, by the time he got to he was better when he was in Denver. By the time he got to the Bears, he was like, man, it's cold here. These guys I don't really care. I mean,
dude, when you're in the NFC Championship game and you take yourself out.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's not a good quarterback. And you force some young guy to come in, whatever his name was, Heineke or whatever. It's almost like Heineke, but it was something different. And then he throws a pick six to BJ Raji. I mean, come on. Come on. So no, the Bears suck.
So
the Bears could no.
I mean, I wouldn't say, looking at like Vikings quarterbacks, I wouldn't say Cousins is great. I wouldn't say Culpepper was even that good. I wouldn't say, but at least they had some guys that were kind of good.
Warren Moon was pretty good.
Warren Moon was a really good passer. They did have
Randall Cunningham was good for that one year.
Cunningham for a year. So at least they had something.
Brad Johnson was a serviceable quarterback.
And then the Lions, Stafford was talented. Whatever. And then you had a couple guys in there that were okay. Joey Harrington, unfortunate, wasn't very good.
The Lions had Don Mikowski for a while.
But I mean, the Bears, wow, they might be the worst. They might have the worst quarterback track record of
the Bears are the worst. No one has had worse quarterbacks than the Bears. Like in the whole NFL, period.
And a bunch of those years, how many times they had good defenses too? And they just so bad on offense they couldn't win. Ugh, Bears. Why do people like the Bears?
Why is Eckes love Mac Jones so much? Dude, the guy threw 3 passes the other day. I can't.
Maybe that's why he loves him, because he threw 3 passes. Listen, didn't complain about it. Was like, hey, all right, I'll throw 3 passes.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, but he's not a top 10 quarterback. Listen, if he has a long career like Brady, and like if Brady threw three passes in a game and they won, I don't think Brady wouldn't give a crap if he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What you think Rodgers could handle only throwing 3 passes in a game and winning? No freaking way.
I don't think so.
No freaking way.
I don't think so. That's gonna to me. That's gonna be the ultimate determination of whether the Packers get all the way to the Super Bowl this year or not.
It always has been.
Is if in the playoffs, if they're gonna be playing home games at Lambeau Field, they're gonna play in bad conditions. Is Aaron Rodgers gonna be okay with running the ball as much as he needs to in order for them to win? And if the answer to that question is yes, they will win. And if the answer to that question is no, then they might win, but they might not win. Yeah. So,
listen, I like Mac Jones. I said in the draft, I like Mac Jones.
You did say, yeah.
And I can remember because I said that when Mo was on and the Vikings were going to pick, and I was like, oh, Mac Jones is falling to you, you lucky son of a gun. And Mo was like, oh, God, no, we don't want Mac Jones. And I'm like, and then the Patriots took him. I was like, holy crap. They just got a freaking Tom Brady 2.0. And he's going to freaking do the same crap Tom Brady did. He's just smart enough. Throw the ball to the open guy. Be smart. Don't be dumb. Run the system. They're going to win for another 20 damn years with this guy. That's what I said at draft night.
Yep.
The only thing I've ever been wrong with on drafting is Justin Jefferson. And I still don't think he's that good. I think he just gets lucky. He's open all the time because nobody covers him. I don't know why nobody covers him. Like, why does nobody's ever covered him? They never push him off the line of scrimmage.
Nope.
He's a skinny guy. Beat him up a little bit. Nobody does. They just let him run around wherever he wants. It's stupid.
You're right. I am astounded by that too. I don't know what these coverages are they're playing against him, but they seem to give him a lot of room off the line. Yeah,
he's always wide open.
And then it's pretty soft. And if you get the thing is with Cousins, if he doesn't have immediate pressure and you got a guy open, he's going to throw it to him right away. So, and it's going to be an accurate pass. So those conditions of giving him a lot of room, a lot of cushion to get open quick, him being a good route runner, and Cousins being like, hey, I want to get the ball out of my hands. Guy's open. I'm accurate. That's making him look really, really good. So I'm not saying he's not talented, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's as great as the numbers he's putting up either. That's my feeling on it.
Zero. Come on, man. You know that I know it takes more than just throwing the ball to the open guy. What I'm saying is there are and I've said this many times. There are quarterbacks who run the system, and there are quarterbacks who sometimes don't run the system. Okay? The difference between like Rodgers, for instance, is that sometimes he'll just look to his buddy instead of running the play as it should be run and wait for Devontae to get open or whatever. And other guys are open. There's been plenty of times where Allen Lazard is open over here and he should go 1, 2, 3, throw. Remember Peyton Manning? Remember watching Peyton Manning when he played? Peyton Manning did not have a strong arm.
Nope.
Peyton Manning had to anticipate every single throw. Based on the coverage he was looking at, he knew exactly where his guys were going to be. And he had to make sure, okay, based on this, okay, I'm looking here. He would shift his feet. He would follow the progressions, throw to the spot because of the defense. He's not even looking at it. You shouldn't, as a quarterback, you shouldn't even be looking at where your receivers are because they should be where you know they should be because of the play call. You should be looking at where the defense is, especially the safety, freaking linebackers, whatever it is, whoever you want to attack on a certain play. I know it's not just throw the guys open. It's not that easy. I get that. There's pressure. There's other things. And Rodgers is great. He's good against pressure. And the thing about Mac Jones is pressure doesn't seem to affect him either. He'll sit in there and he'll take a hit and let the ball go. And he reads the play. And he doesn't, and unlike Kirk Cousins, he doesn't freak out when guys are in his face. He kind of like makes a play. And so maybe Mac Jones should be on the damn list. I guess you're right. I don't know. But he doesn't play at the talent. He doesn't have the stats yet. He's a rookie. I'm not going to put a rookie on here unless his name is Justin Herbert. But I didn't put a Herbert on my list last year.
Yeah.
At start. I put him in the second time when I did it halfway through the year. During the Packers bye week, I put him at number 7 last year. But everybody's different. Everybody's playing great. There's more to just, you can't just read things. But it's like, and I'm guilty. You think Taylor Heineke is running the Washington football team's plays perfectly every time? Probably not. He just makes plays.
Yeah, makes plays.
Okay. He's like Brett Favre. But even Favre would dump it off to Ahman Green and run the offense. And he'd be like, oh, that's not open. That's not open. I'll just dump it. And then sometimes he'd throw it into triple coverage and do something stupid.
when he knew he didn't have any good receivers, he was like, "Yeah, I'll give it to this guy, and he'll just run all over the joint and break tackles." And yeah, that was some of Arv's smartest football when he would just throw it to Moncrief. No, it wasn't as exciting for fans, but I liked it. Anyway, there's a balance there, and yeah, Rodgers needs to keep finding that balance because the last couple weeks he's been playing with great balance.
Playing great.
He's made crazy throws and made great plays when you need it, but he's also took the easy play a lot, and that's a big part of football, man. I just want to see I want to see him continue to keep the run attempts up and not check out of runs. I don't always feel like I understand. Oh, for example, just a quick example, like on his touchdown run, okay, if you go back and watch that play, he said that was a total improvised play by him. The call was to hand it off. He talked about the defensive lineup, and he's like, yeah, so I didn't really feel good about that call, about that handoff, and so I decided to, there's only one guy out here if I could beat him, and it worked out, and that's great. But if you look at the replay,
AJ Dillon would have scored easy.
Yes, even though the Rams had numbers, the way it was blocked and AJ Dillon didn't have far to go, he would have scored. If he just handed the ball to him, he would have scored. So sometimes I feel like you can overthink, and sometimes I think Rodgers is trying to get always overthink and outthink, not overthink, but outthink the other team and make all these adjustments. Well, that's great playing that level of football mentally sometimes. At times, just run the play and trust that you're just going to do what you need to do. Your guys are going to get it done, and you're going to get the first down, or you're going to get the touchdown, or whatever. So I'd like to see a little less of the adjustments, because the one thing that happens with those is, like we've seen, some guys don't get all the adjustments right, or some receiver, like if Juwan Winfrey's playing this week, is he going to know all the checks and all this sort of stuff? And if he screws one thing up, could that turn into an interception and a game-changing play because he screwed something up? Yeah. So sometimes just run the play. That's what I'm saying. I want to see it more. Anyway, and if you go back and look at that thing, just check it out. All right. So Eckes has got to shovel some snow. We don't have to shovel in the south, Eckes. We're good. Just some rain. All right. That's all I got for you. Final scores. Who's got a score?
Yep. Got to do score.
Scores. Lee thinks, hey, Lee.
Lee's back. Hey, Lee. What's up?
Bankert is going to come in and throw some tuggies this week. Bankert.
Yeah. Why would you Kurt Benkert is terrible. Like, why? Does he have a brother, Ben Kurt?
I think so.
Like, why would you do that?
I don't know. My score is Packers 31, Bears 13.
My score is 42. AJ Dillon's going to have 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. 42-10.
Whoa, 42-10.
Also, we're gonna have a defensive touchdown of some kind, either a fumble or a pick six, one or the other.
Rasul Douglas pick six?
Maybe another Rasul Douglas.
Bernard's feeling really confident. 52-10. You think it's gonna?
Holy cow, we're gonna keep
on blowout. What? 0 Packers fall 9-26. Trap game. Oh, 0.
That would mean that Mason Crosby would have to actually make 3 field goals. 0. I don't think that's possible.
Wow,
sorry, Blas. I know he's your favorite guy.
That's crazy. Blas is confident in the Packers 36-14.
That's good.
Butters is Packers 30.
Butters confident. Okay, we like that.
0. Even after all the things we went through, you were here from the beginning, I think. The Bears aren't scary, man. The Bears are only scary to themselves and their fans. Eckes says Packers 31, Bears 21. Packers D gets 1. And Eckes is going to the game, right? Aren't you going to the game, Eckes? Lee says 34-7. I think he's talking Packers winning that, right, Lee? I'm guessing. Lee's usually pretty confident. And you should be. All right. There are tougher matchups ahead, especially when the playoffs come around. And there's some tough games down the stretch here the Packers got to deal with. But I just think this defense is different. It's just different. I wish they were a little better red zone defense, but they play to stop the other team from getting first downs more, which I appreciate.
It gives your offense more chances.
It's just that simple.
Instead of letting them have the ball for so long and then finally playing defense in the red zone like they've done the last 2 years before this. You know what I mean? It gives Rodgers more chances. So even if if the offense isn't as successful, and if the offensive line doesn't block as well, and they don't turn the ball over, and they play the field game, right? Ball control field game, where they're punting and setting the Bears back in bad spots, and they still play aggressive and do good stuff. This team is more. I feel more confident in this team than I have in a while as a team. Not just as Aaron Rodgers is going to pull some crap out of his butt and then they're going to win, right? This is like a team that can maybe do something. And I'm getting excited again. I had about a month now where I've been kind of like, I don't even give a crap anymore. But it started turning around because I'm seeing guys like Douglas make plays and AJ Dillon coming around and it was really exciting to see Randall Cobb come back and do stuff. And now he's hurt, but that kind of sucks. But it just seems like everybody is doing like a little bit. Like here's a play by this guy, and then there's a play by this guy, and there's a play by this guy, and it really feels like a team.
Yep, I agree. I guess he's going to be there. He's wearing it. Might wear his jersey, his old Travis jersey, number 32.
I don't think you can wear that. I think you got too much gut showing when you wear that. 'Cause you're not as skinny as you used to be.
Weather should be pretty good in Green Bay. I think it's not. It's fine. To get past this little stretch, and it dries up on Sunday, so shouldn't be a problem. And then I guess Zero's maybe main concern before we get to the final note. I almost forgot about this final note that was important. Before we get to Zero's, he's thinking that maybe the Packers are just going to be overconfident. Maybe they're going to be, not up for the game, not ready for it. I mean, it's at home. If that was on the road, I could see it maybe happening, but it's at home. I just don't see that happening. They're going to be ready to go. To go. I mean, Packers are still potentially playing for the number 1 seed. And even as much as I don't want that to be the case, because I don't think they play that, I don't think that a bunch of these guys play that well in the snow. Yeah. Anyway, they're still playing for it. Ben, what do you got?
Oh, I was just saying, bye, Ekis.
Says, I'll see you there, because Bomb says 36-24 Bears. Let's see. Last thing is.
Oh, wait. I got to just say one thing about Zero.
Oh, go for it. Okay.
The difference. The key thing here is he said something about teams that have nothing to worry about. They'll fight harder, whatever it is. Like they got nothing to lose, so they'll play harder. That's the Lions, because they have a coach who's new, and has got the guys believing in something, even though the talent's not there. The Bears have had this coach for years. They've given up on him. Like they don't believe in him anymore. They won't fight for a guy who they don't believe in anymore. Now they may fight to play well, so that they'll have a job next year on the Bears or some other team. That might be it, but that's still individual plays. And as we know from Zadarius Smith, a guy who's playing for himself to get paid doesn't always help the team win. And that's another factor. So you got the coach is not respected, and the players might be playing for contracts, trying to make big plays, but not necessarily playing as a team. And that's another reason why I think that it's just going to be a blowout, 42-10. Packers are going to just blow the crap out of them.
Now we leave. Zero makes a score adjustment. He thinks Packers still lose, but instead it's 13-16. Before we go, Lee's hoping that to see more of Amari or one of the wide receivers step up. I hope so too. I don't have a lot of faith in Amari Rodgers at this point from what he's shown, but maybe, I don't know. Hopefully somebody steps up. But there is one more point to make before we go, and that is Ben's guy, should be your guy, too, Aaron Jones. Yes. Being nominated for 2, the team rep for 2 pretty cool awards this week. I hope he wins it. Packers haven't won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award in a while, and I really hope Aaron Jones gets that. I hope he gets the other award too. Awesome guy, really deserves it.
Well, I mean, and I've said this when the thing came through. I said Aaron Jones is Man of the Year every year. He's the most respectful, honest, kind, nice guy you'll ever meet. Team guy. Always there to help everybody, whether it's his teammate. He always goes all out on every single play, even if he screws up. But the key thing is this year, he's got his charities with his brother. He's got some other things he does besides that. And with his father passing away in the springtime, it could be a really good story. Because sometimes the NFL just does the story kind of thing. Like the year when the Carolina Panthers guy won it, it was more about the story. I think that was the year when Aaron Rodgers was going for it and he didn't get it. The Carolina Panthers guy got it. And
Thomas Davis, right?
Yeah, Thomas Davis. It was a great story.
He's a good
like
dude.
He had an awesome story, and it was like, and then the year Eli Manning won it, we were like, why? Eli Manning?
That's true. Yeah.
Does he even do anything? Like he doesn't even say anything ever. Like I don't know, but whatever. But it's just Aaron Jones is a guy who you can root for him, even if you're not a Packer fan, right? Because he's just an awesome guy, and he's the true leader, the true Aaron of the Packers. Oh, snap!
I hope he wins the awards. He deserves it, and he's a good, really good dude, good human being. We need more guys like that in the world, more people like that in the world. Glad he's a Packer for sure. So, and hope he comes back and is dynamic and helps his offense click, because that would be great. They tear up the Bears. Packers are going to win. No questions asked. Sorry, Zero, to disappoint, but I just don't see it happening. If for some reason, crazy things can happen in games. It does happen. It's not the end of the world. This guy's not following Packers fans, but I don't think it's happening. Packers should steamroll. All right. Aaron Jones is the man. Packers will win. You guys be good. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Enjoy the game on Sunday night. Packers Bears. For the 500